Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday. I hope you're doing so good today. Thanks for clicking on this video. I am starting a new video series on my channel. I'm going to do this quarterly, so once every quarter, once every 3 months of the year. I just came up with this idea, so I obviously missed the first quarter. But basically, we're calling it shelf decluttering, and I'm just going to read books that have been on my shelves for a really long time. So I know a lot of people do different versions of this. They do like backlist bonanza and like wrapping up and unwrapping books on my TBR and all those things like that. My version of this is shelf decluttering, and I'm just going to be reading 3 books every quarter that I don't think I'm going to give 5 stars. Yes, I don't think I'm going to give any of the books in this series 5 stars. Obviously, I would love if I get a 5-star read. I would love to be pleasantly surprised, but for various reasons, either sitting on my shelf for so long that my tastes have changed, or like impulse buys, things like that I've just had forever and need to get off my shelves and make space for new books. That's the goal of what I'll be reading in these videos. So this episode is obviously thrillers. I missed the first quarter because I just came up with this idea. Yeah, so I'll be doing 2 of these in the month of April, and then you won't see another episode of this series again until July. So let's talk real quickly about what I'm going to be reading in this video. First, I'm going to be reading My Sweet Girl by Amanda Giatissa. Thrillers are really an easy pick for me because I honestly never go into a thriller expecting to give it 5 stars. Like, I don't think I've ever picked up a thriller, been like, I think this is going to be 5 stars. I've never felt that way. So this video is easy. A lot of these are backlist titles that have been sitting on my shelf for a long time, so we're just getting through them, and that's the plan. This book is about a woman named Paloma. She is from an orphanage in Sri Lanka, and we're following dual timeline, like back when she was at the orphanage and then 20 years later in America. There are some weird things going on. She has some secrets in her past. Her roommate ended up finding out about those secrets. We don't know what they are. And he ended up murdered in her apartment the same day. Paloma was not the one that committed the murder. I just want to be clear on that. And she has no idea who's targeting her, what's happening, but she has a feeling that her past has come back to haunt her. So that's what's happening in this one. I'm also going to be reading My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This is a domestic thriller that is very beloved in the book community. I see so many good reviews of this. In this book, we are following a couple that murders people. We don't know what drove them to do this, how they got to this point, why or when or where or what or who. We're kind of just thrown in, and we're following from the perspective of the husband. His wife is a little bit sketchy. They are living kind of this suburban dream in the same town that he grew up in. They have a nice house, they have a nice family, and they have this dark secret. Fun twist on a domestic thriller for this one. And then I will also be reading The Nanny by Gilly McMillan, or Gilly McMillan. I never know how to say her name. People always say it different, and I don't know which one is the right way to pronounce this. If you know the right way to say this author's name, please drop it in the comments, because I feel like no one has agreed on the correct way yet. So if you know about that, let me know, please. This one is about a woman named Jo who, when she was a child, her nanny suddenly went missing from her sprawling estate. No explanation, didn't leave any evidence that she was ever there. And it was kind of a suspicious disappearance that happened in the middle of the night. And 30 years later, Jo is moving back in with her mother into this home where these original events happened, because her husband just died. And combined with grief and like difficulties managing and closing out his estate, she's wanted some time and needed some time away. So she moves back to England from America into this house with her mother, who she has a pretty rocky relationship with. And there happens to be a skeleton in the lake, which sets off a whole chain of events about what really happened when Jo was a child. I've actually started this before. I started it 2 summers ago. I was reading it right before I went back to college, and I ended up not finishing it before I started school again, and I did not have time to read it, and I kept thinking, I'll get back to it, and 2 years later I still hadn't gotten back to it. This was a soft DNF, but definitely something I'm still interested in, so I'm excited to finally pick this back up and actually finish it for real. Okay, with plot synopsis is done, we are ready to get into the vlog portion of this video. Let's go. Hi, editing me just sat down to edit this video and realized that both of the clips that I talked about this book in are so messed up, completely overexposed. You can't see my face. It looks like I have no facial features, and you can't really see the book cover. I don't know what happened. I don't know what was wrong with the camera settings. Like, I don't know what went down, but we're not going to use those because this is the first book that I read for this video, and we're not going to be starting out the video with 2 terrible quality clips. So we're just going to insert this clip and pretend that these are clips that I actually took during the vlog, okay? This book was interesting. Obviously, we're not getting a midway point update because I scratched that clip. It's gone forever now. I deleted it. So I'm just going to be talking to you as if I just finished this book, if that makes sense. I didn't really like this. I gave this book 2.5 stars, I think. Like, I'm a little undecided because it was fast-paced. It was interesting. There was lots of things going on, which is usually a good thing, but those, in this case, were actually what made me not like this book. Our main girly, Paloma, is from Sri Lanka, and we're getting chapters from when she was at the orphanage there, and then also, like, our present day timeline, which is, like, 18 or 20 years in the future, like present day. And the author was trying to introduce so many things in here that I was just overwhelmed. And I feel like they didn't end up having a good payoff. It just felt like so crazy. But none of those plot lines that she introduced for us to be like, what's going on with that, were developed enough for me to actually care about what was being said. So let me give you a little rundown. I won't spoil anything, but let me give you a little rundown about all the things that are going on. So the main pitch for this book is obviously that Paloma has a secret in her past from when she was at the orphanage. We don't know what it is, but her roommate finds out what it is, and he starts like blackmailing her, that he's gonna expose her unless she gives him X amount of money. So she goes out one day to try to get his money, and she comes home and his dead body is sitting in her kitchen. She is drunk, so she runs in the hall and like passes out or goes unconscious. I don't know, it's not really clear. The next morning she wakes up in the stairwell and his body's gone, and there's no evidence of him ever existing in her apartment. So she's like, what's going on? Her therapist tells her that she should move into her parents' house. They're out of town visiting somewhere, some foreign country. She's not with them. They also have found out about this secret, which shall not be named. We still don't know what it is, but basically their house is empty, so she goes to stay there in this wealthy neighborhood, and there's so many weird things going on. There's a guy who's claiming to be the friend of her roommate that has disappeared, been murdered. We don't really know, and he's like kind of sus. And then there's this woman in the neighborhood where her parents live that is like kind of stalking her, but then she also has another stalker from the internet that's I don't know what he's doing. It's not a spoiler to tell you that that plotline doesn't go anywhere. Like, I don't even know what the point of that was. I'm very confused. Her neighbor, not her neighbor, but her parents' neighbor, is missing as well. There's this overarching theme, obviously, of whatever it was that happened in her past. And like, that is too much going on. I didn't think that it was well done. I didn't think that everything was wrapped up. Like, when you introduce that many plot lines, you have to give us reveals throughout the book, but instead we just didn't figure out what was going on until, you know, the last like 20 pages when everything suddenly wrapped up. And there was still some plot holes after that, or some things that I didn't understand, like why they were even present in the story if the twist was going to be the twist. The writing was really good, the chapters were solid, the pacing was solid, but other than that, like the actual presentation of the story itself was just not well done for me. This book could have been a lot shorter, and I think that it could have used maybe another round of editing as far as just what plot details to include. And overall, I didn't love this, but at the same time, like, it was thrilling, and I enjoyed the thrilling aspects of the story, and I loved the chapters set in the past at the orphanage. Those really saved the book. If those were not in here, I probably would have DNF'd this. If I had made myself finish it, I would have given it 1 star. So those chapters and that plotline really saved the book, but then the present day plotline was just a disaster. So that's why I gave it a rating right in the middle. In other news, it is Girl Scout cookie season. Please drop in the comments below what your favorite kind of Girl Scout cookie is. I don't know what the names of them are anymore. I have no idea because they changed all of the names except for Thin Mints. I don't know. These and the coconut ones, again, sorry, I don't know what they're called, are my favorites. These ones are not as good this year as they usually are. I just feel like there's not enough peanut butter in them, but that's okay. So drop your flavor in the comments down below. And also, I just wanted to say, this has nothing to do with this vlog, but I just wanted to talk about it. This is kind of old news, but Sally Rooney announced her new book, which is coming out in September, and I'm so so excited. I'm like quaking in my boots. I can't wait. So I did treat myself today and I pre-ordered it. It was 15% off at Barnes & Noble, the like special cover edition, whatever. So it seemed like a sign for me to buy it. So I did. I pre-ordered it and I'm so excited. I figure by that time, like, I'm probably gonna be okay buying books again. I think my physical TBR will be cut down enough that I like don't feel guilty about buying new stuff. And obviously I'm gonna read it right away when it gets here. I will update you guys in a vlog whenever we get the cover reveal. It probably won't be for a couple more months, but I'm not sure. But I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like. And I'm just so excited. And I think I'm also gonna reread Beautiful World, Where Are You? It's right. This is hard to point, it's right there. So I think I'm gonna reread that this month because I didn't love it as much as Normal People or Conversations with Friends, but I also don't think that I read it like at the right time in my life to fully enjoy it. And I'm feeling like I'm in the mood for like some sad girl lit fic, which by the way, I feel like Sally Rooney just defined that genre. Like I feel like sad girl lit fic wasn't a thing before Sally Rooney got super popular, right? And I'm not using sad girl lit fic as an insult. It is in fact a compliment. I love to read those kinds of stories. So anyway, I just was so excited and I wanted to share it with you, and that's all I have to say for this clip. I'm gonna read The Nanny now in this video. Obviously I've already read all of these because this is editing me, but you'll see The Nanny next and then My Darling Wife last. So let's get back to the regular happenings of this vlog. Hey y'all, good morning. The lighting is gonna be awful for every clip that I take today because it is so overcast outside. But you don't care about that actually. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I read up until the point that I soft DNF'd this last time. So page 215, I think. So I'm halfway through, and you know what? This book has no business being 400 pages. Like, I've only read 200 of them, and I can already tell you this book has no business being this long. Why is it doing that? The writing is good. Gillian Macmillan is a really solid author for me as far as like writing and storytelling goes. So even though this is like really boring already and like nothing's going on, the writing's great. So I'm still having a fun time. It's not like I think that this book is gonna be like 2 stars. It's probably gonna end up being a 3 unless something drastically changes, which if I read 200 more pages of nothing, it might, but I'm assuming there will be some type of plot twist. I'm nearing the end of part 2 right now, so I think I'm just gonna read this and finish this morning. I am on spring break right now, so I don't have to go to work today. I don't really even have to get dressed today if I don't want to. So we'll kind of just see where the day takes me, but I think I should have time to finish this morning. I'm gonna quickly tell you the plot and then this clip is gonna be over, just in case you've forgotten since the intro. We're following several different timelines and several different perspectives, but basically the general vibes are that in the 80s, there's this nanny and she was working at this really like sprawling estate, and then suddenly she disappeared one night. So Jo was the little girl that she was the nanny for, and Jo has always kind of blamed herself because her mom told her that like her bad behavior is what caused her nanny to leave. Her mom obviously had like something to do with it, and there's a lot of secrets in this family, and they found a body in the lake, like a skeleton, not like a body. And Jo has moved back in with her mom now because her husband's died, and it's like 30 years later, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's where this one's at. I'll talk to you when I finish this, okay? Hi, it's the same day, like an hour later. I finished this and I'm giving it 2.5 stars because here's the big issue with this girly. We, as the reader, like, can figure out the mystery. Like, unless you're actively trying to not figure out what's going on, you're gonna be able to tell what happened from page like 150, maybe even before that. So we're just waiting for Jo and her mom to figure out what's going on, and like Jo is so dumb. Her daughter like straight up is like, I hate Hannah, like I hate the nanny. I literally hate her. She's mean. I don't like her. Like all of this stuff. And her mom's like, oh, you're just like being silly. You'll get used to her. I'm like, if my child was like actively telling me that they hated their caregiver, I would have some questions, or I would at least be like, why? Why don't you like her? But we already know like what Hannah's doing because we as the reader get like insight to that. So that's not a spoiler for me to tell you because you're gonna figure it out. Like, it's not a secret, it's not a surprise. So instead of us having this really thrilling experience where we are figuring out who this woman is and like what happened and who the body in the lake is and like all of these things, like we already know all of that and we're just waiting for the Holts to figure it out. And I don't like that in a thriller because at that point it's like, well, what's the point of me reading this book other than like it has enjoyable writing, but like what's the point of this story if we already know what's going on? So anyway, I'm not like swearing off of this author. I'll definitely read more stuff from her, more of her recent things. Obviously this book is old. I think it came out in 2017. Let me check real quick. Okay, 2019, same thing. So it's like 5 years old, and I'm sure she's written a lot of really great things since then. I haven't read any of her more recent work, so I'd definitely be interested in doing that. This one was just like, I wouldn't recommend it. Like, it wasn't a bad book, but I just wouldn't recommend it to you. So I'm sitting in my desk chair. Let's scooch on over. Okay, next I'm picking up My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. Everyone loves this. This is, again, I think maybe a 2019 book. I've had this book since I was in high school. It's just one that I keep like not picking up, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I'm like scared that I'm not gonna like it as much as everyone else does. I don't really know. But this is my sign to read it. I think this one is way shorter than The Nanny, normal length thriller. Yeah, like 350 pages, and everyone loves this. It's just a domestic. I haven't read a domestic thriller in a long time, so I'm excited to get into this, and I'll update you when I have something to say about it. I'm so thrilled that I'm finally reading this. Okay, bye. I don't actually have an update on this. I've only read 3 chapters, but shortly after I said I was going to start this, I decided I was going to lunch with my mom, so I did that, and then I just got home and I sat down and I read the first 3 chapters of this girly, and it was so good. I've never read a thriller that opens quite like this one, and I'm very intrigued, and the writing's flowing good. They're short chapters. Like, I'm having a great time, and I just wanted to say that I'm having fun. So I'll update you when I actually have some constructive criticism, but that's all for right now. Happy Friday. Today the weather is a lot nicer than the weather was yesterday, so I think I'm gonna go on a little walk this afternoon and I'll vlog that for you, depending on where I go, because if it's like somewhere that's not that pretty, I'm not gonna take video, but if I go somewhere with a good view, you'll be seeing it in just a sec. I'm 50% of the way through this. I read like 25% last night, and then I read 25%-ish this morning. This is one of the best domestic thriller like plot lines that I've read in so long. I'm having such a good time. I like still don't really know where the story's going at this point. I don't know if there's gonna be a huge plot twist. I definitely see one of the plot twists coming, for sure, but there's obviously going to be more than one. We have a lot of different things going on that are cause for concern in the story. I will say, I do think that this is a little bit long. I just don't ever think that a thriller should be like way over 300 pages. Like, I think most thrillers do the job they're trying to do in 300 pages, and any more than that is just too much. Sorry, the cat just knocked you on the ground. Anyway, I'm at the 200 page mark right now, and I don't know why we need 150 more pages, or I guess I do see why we need that many more pages because we still have a lot of like open-ended things going on, but I don't see why we needed 200 pages to establish the events that have happened so far. This couple is just so unhinged, and I'm having kind of almost a hard time. I don't want to say a hard time, but I'm having like a hard time believing this man who is our narrator. Obviously, it's the husband. Anyway, he is carrying such a guilty conscience with him, and I'm like, bro, you're like out here killing people with your wife. Like, that's not a spoiler. That's the plot on the synopsis. It says, you fell in love, you had kids, you moved to the suburbs, you told each other your biggest dreams and your darkest secrets, and then you got bored. We all have our secrets keeping a marriage alive. Ours just happens to be getting away with murder. So you already know that this couple's like a serial killing couple, right? But this man is like having such a guilty conscience over his kids, and he's like concerned about their victims, and I'm like, bro, if you actually had so much of a concern, you wouldn't be doing this. Like, what does your wife have over you? Is that going to be a plot twist? Like, his wife is sketch. I'm like, why is this woman like this? What traumatized her
to be like this. I don't know. So while I'm having a fun time reading from the husband, and he has like his own little set of secrets. Okay, Gigi's knocked you over twice now, so you can thank her for that. I'm just gonna hold you for the end of this clip. I don't remember what I was saying. Basically, this is good. I'm gonna finish it. It's sitting like a 4-star right now. I don't think anything will drastically change. I would love to be pleasantly surprised by a plot twist in this. I just don't think that that's probably gonna happen, but if it does, great. I just think it's too long. I just always think thrillers are too long. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Bye.
Good morning, happy Saturday. I finished this just a little while ago and I wanted to sit on it and think for a minute before I sat down to talk to you guys, because while I did like this and the writing was good and the pacing was good and this is one of the better domestic thrillers I've read, it was so predictable. Like by page 100, I mean, obviously I didn't really know where the story was going at that point, but like the clues that it gives you at page 100 are pretty obvious as to what's gonna happen at like the end of the book. Like nothing, not a single twist, reveal, anything in here surprised me. And I just don't know how to feel because everything else was done so well, but like I was not surprised, I was not shocked. Please stop scratching my screen. It's really nice outside today. The cats are playing outside, obviously. What are you doing? She'll stop. I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. I really thought that this was gonna be a 4 because everything it was doing was so good, and then I was not surprised by anything. I thought that there was gonna be like a twist that I didn't see coming, or like a surprise, or it was like setting me up to believe that like one thing was gonna happen and then something else was gonna happen, but no, it just was exactly what I was expecting. So for that, I can't give it a 4-star. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 because I think that the structural elements of this were so good. And like I said, this is a great domestic thriller, especially I think if you have not read a ton of domestic thrillers, or maybe you're looking to start reading domestic thrillers, this is a great pick because I think if you have not read a ton of them and you don't easily pick out like clues that aren't actually clues but they are clues, like it's hard to say without spoiling it. Like basically, if you're new to domestic thrillers, I think that this could be really thrilling and you would not see the plot twist coming. I don't know, maybe you would. I'm like kind of stupid when it comes to figuring out like plot twists and stuff in thrillers. So maybe this is easy for everyone to figure out, I'm not sure. But I've just read like, not a storyline like this, but like the clues, there's Gigi in the flower bed. I've just read a lot of stories that like allude to one of the twists in here, and though this was done in a different way, it's easy to pick that out once you've read it a lot. So anyway, 3.5 stars. I'm not disappointed. Like anything above a 3-star in my book is a win, but this just like wasn't, I don't know, I feel like this is really hyped up as a domestic thriller and it just maybe was too hyped up in my mind, and I was just expecting it to do something really good, really crazy, you know, and it didn't do that. So that wraps up this video. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what your thoughts were. Let me know if you have any recommendations for thrillers, because I'm always looking for new thriller recs since that's what I primarily read. I'm holding you, so I can't do my usual heart and say goodbye, but I really appreciate you being here for supporting my channel, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.